I'm Brian Jackson. Welcome to In Focus. My guest is Dr. Eugene Barnes to discuss an upcoming conference in Champaign. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Brian.
What is this conference and when and where is it going to be?
Brian, it's called the Faith-Based Conference, and it's entitled The Prophetic Voice in Charitable Choice. It's going to be held September 17th at the Champaign Public Library. It will be from 8 to 4:30.
What rooms in the Champaign Public Library?
That will be pavilions A and B. We have seating for approximately 140 guests.
Okay. Is there any admission charge?
There's no admission. The admission is free.
How can they register for the conference?
One can register from the invitations that have been sent out to approximately 140 faith-based organizations. That's faith-permeated, faith-centered, faith background. They can also register on our website at metanoiacenters.org, or they can call 607-1723, get in contact with myself in order to register.
How did the idea of this conference come about?
For several years now, I've been sort of looking at how faith-based organizations can be better able to service the communities that we do serve. Especially with the economic downturn, we have organizations all vying for the same pot of gold, if you will, from what monies may be available from the community development block grant, from funders, etc. It was back in the early '60s that the then Senator John Ashcroft, Republican from Missouri, initiated a bill 104 called Charitable Choice. It took off during the Clinton administration, but it ran into at times what some consider was a constitutional issue, because there's always this idea of separation in church. But then up under the Bush administration, it really got some teeth and some traction, and it took off, and it became the Charitable Choice Act that's really connected with the Welfare Reform Act. And then, of course, in 2010, President Barack Obama had amended it to include more than 11 federal agencies to be able to allow faith-based organizations to partner with government. Now, we've always recognized that the faith-based organizations have been first responders. When a situation, a calamity, a crisis arise, usually the faith-based organizations are right there. And just to give you an example, back when Katrina had hit down south, of course, we had one church here, Mount Olive, that put together over $20,000 worth of food and supplies to send down to those areas that was affected by a Katrina. So what the Charitable Choice was designed to do was to create a level playing field for faith-based organizations to be able to partner with the federal government. But also, it was the Charitable Choice, when it was first envisioned by John Ashcroft, and of course with President Bush, it looked at the constitutionality of the government being able to partner with faith-based organizations. Many decried the fact that the faith-based organization would take the money and use for religious purposes. But of course, is delineated very clearly right now in the Charitable Choice in terms of how the funds can be used. You can't proselytize if you're a faith-based organization. You can't commingle funds. And the best way in order to quell the concerns that some had was for a faith-based organization just to start a 501c3, a separate exempt organization.
Do you see things improving in the next 5 years? Do you think there'll be more of this going on, or do you think it'll continue, or do you think?
Well, we plan to continue to ramp up our efforts in terms of informing the faith-based community in terms of the opportunities that are presented by the faith-based initiative. As we look at the economic downturn, we're only halfway through the subprime debacle, and I think we're going to be experiencing some more dearth from that. But we definitely want to be able to make sure that the faith-based organization is aware of the faith-based initiative and the opportunities that exist for them to be able to partner with the government. I think that the government has done a very good job in terms of initiating the faith-based initiative, but I don't think that we've been able to recognize this opportunity that exists.
What organizations is this conference targeted for?
Well, it's targeted at organizations that are basically faith-based. Again, they're faith-centered, they have a faith background, they're faith-permeated, and that includes some secular organization. Because what we're trying to do is inform many of the faith-based organizations in terms of this opportunity. Now, you've always had faith-based organizations that have partnered with the government. You have Catholic Charity, you have United Jewish Community, you have Lutheran Services, YMCA. These are faith-based organizations that have always partnered with the government. The churches, what we want to do, we want to definitely make sure that we're informing the churches about this opportunity so that they can be able to continue to ramp up their services so that we can meet the unmet need. We need to look at asset mapping, looking at what resources exist within the community that we can bring to bear so that when we do partner with the government and we're able to start identifying where those unmet needs are, that we can be more effective in the delivery of our services.
List some of the speakers who are scheduled to be speaking and some of the officials that you expect to attend.
We've invited the chancellor and we've invited the mayors. Of course, we've been informed that the chancellor will not be able to attend that day. We have local speakers who do have faith-based organizations. We have one from out of town, Peoria. We have our keynote speaker is out of Chicago, who is part of the Administration for Children and Family Services. We do have Pastor Miller, Thomas Miller, who will be coming, who's out of Danville, who has a New Life Church of Faith of Danville and Champaign. And we have some other organizations. We're waiting for confirmation on some, but we have a full program for that day just to be able to inform the faith-based community of what Charitable Choice, a faith-based initiative is, and entertain a dialogue about how we can continue to look at this opportunity and how we can work together so that we can be able to be effective in serving our communities.
How many people are expected to attend the conference?
We've sent out approximately 150 invitations. We're limited by space because we're going to be at the public library in pavilions A and B, and we have seating for 140 people, so first come, first serve.
What is the expected goal following this conference? What do you think is going to take place after the conference? What's the goal after this conference?
Good question. And I've been pondering that myself, and we're developing a survey that we want to have available for the participants to fill out in terms of helping us determine what that's going to be. We want to be able to get a consensus in terms of what will the next conferences in 2013 will look like, what type of information workshops they would like to see, looking at possibly forming some type of faith-based federation so that we can continue to delve into what these opportunities represent for us and who could be the future participants.
Do you see it from this conference? Do you see it going on a state level and also on a national level?
Well, I envision that we start here locally first, mustering up, you know, our people to look at how we're going to be able to partner. Now, both the federal government and the state has a responsibility.
Right.
It is a mandate. This is not an option. It's a mandate. And what we want to do, we want to make sure that we hold their feet to the fire in terms of accountability. I don't believe that many organizations, faith-based organizations, know what Charitable Choice, what the faith-based initiative is. And I hope that the conference will be that time in which we explore that dialogue, what it is, and what are the prospective possibilities for the future.
Would you like to add anything else?
Well, I just hope that this program reach enough people where they can become inquisitive enough to start asking, what is charitable choice? What is the faith-based initiative? What does that mean for our community? How can we bring in the various resources so that we can continue to do a better job? How can government and faith-based organizations come across the aisle and continue to have those dialogue? How we can involve the secular organizations who work with faith-based organizations who have always been the first responders and do a good job. So we've got a lot of work cut out for ourselves, but this coming across the aisle where we can be able to entertain dialogue, I believe is important at this point, Brian.
When and where is this conference going to be again?
Again, it will be held at Champaign Public Library in room pavilions A and B on September 17th from 8 to 4:30.
Good luck with this conference.
Thank you, Brian.
And thank you most of all for being on the program.
We appreciate being invited. Thank you.
You're very welcome. My guest has been Dr. Eugene Barnes to discuss the faith-based conference coming to the Champaign Public Library Monday, September 17th. I'm Brian Jackson. Thank you for tuning in to In Focus.